Welcome back to Uncanny X Minutes. I'm your host, Aja, and with me...
This is producer James.
And we are here to discuss the 20-minute to 30-minute mark of X-Men.
Just X-Men.
The first
motion
movie.
picture. I would have loved it if they called it X-Men, the motion picture.
Do you like that in the
No,
titles?
I don't. It's always dumb.
I didn't think so.
It's always dumb. I love it, and it's dumb. It's definitely a naming convention they used to use.
Yes.
That is so out of fashion now.
I feel like it's like when businesses used to be like .com in their business name.
Yeah, right.
Because it was cool, or like it was like, oh my God, we're a web company, we're
Right.
.coms in the name, and then that died. Like
Yeah. That's like, yeah, no, we all are .coms.
Yes.
We're all .coms. We're all motion pictures.
I think that's it. It died that kind of death.
So what happens in the scenes from minutes 20 to 30? We have Storm and Cyclops saving the day, fighting Sabretooth off, rescuing Rogue and Wolverine, taking them back to the X-Mansion. But before that happens, Sabretooth meets with Magneto. We get our first glimpse of Toad. No Mystique.
No Mystique.
Weirdly enough. And then Wolverine wakes up at the X-Mansion and then gets like basically the tour.
Yeah.
It is us also getting introduced to the X-Mansion, so you get to learn all the X-Men that live there, but also the facility, but also the school that is there. The whole thing. The school exists.
The school's a front.
The school is the front, but it's also a school.
That's true.
It's accredited.
It's like one of those mob Italian restaurants that actually has really good pasta. Because like one of the mob's moms is the cook.
Yeah.
You're
That's
like, yeah,
exactly
this
what it
fire.
is. Yes, the basketball court works. It also is where the jet comes out.
I'm very curious how they make sure there are no kids on that basketball court whenever they need to take off in the jet.
That is a good question. Some klaxons, perhaps.
Who knows? Force fields, I'm sure.
Force fields are just kind of like boop.
Yeah.
Know?
They're mutant kids. They'll survive a little bump.
Jean Grey must do it.
I
just
actually,
pick them all
that's
up with the bubbles and
that's actually a
move
fair
them away.
point. I wish we had more bubbles. Speaking of superpowers,
Right?
Here, there are not enough bubbles.
We do get our first Jean Grey mutant power. She picks up a vial.
It's so lame.
Why? Because it's got like the most like heroic shot for it. Like, oh wow, it's the shot they use for like all of the This Is DVD ads.
Oh yeah.
To be like, look at Fox DVD, and then it's like that shot. Well, I don't know why that is. There's that shot and the one where I think Wolverine on the Statue of Liberty.
Okay, that's more fair. I can see that one a little bit better.
It was like that weird pan because it's not. It's anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
But before that even happens,
yes. The fight we get to see, I think we briefly touched on this last episode, but I want to return to it. We get to see a little bit of the powers here. We get Storm firing like
snow,
icicle snow,
wind, blizzard, a blizzard.
Kind of. I'm never gonna stop complaining about this.
You shouldn't, because Storm. So here's the thing. It said it episode 0. Loved this movie when it came out. I was like, they got it, nailed it. Then I read a book and went, wow, they did Storm wrong.
So dirty.
They did. Let's be honest, the ladies got done a little dirty.
The ladies got done very dirty. Jean Grey, pick up a little vial. Come on.
Rogue being depowered is fine because it works for the purposes of this, but like you got to get her more powerful later. She never does.
No.
Never does.
No.
Storm doesn't even need to be there. She's just as kind of there.
Yeah. And
she has no personality.
It makes me sad because
I don't see Halle Berry's performance and think, wow, she was a goddess once.
No.
Because that's the thing, ladies and gents.
Anyway.
Storm was a goddess.
That's not what we're here to talk about, but
we'll talk about it later, though.
Talk about it.
We'll talk about it later.
I think the other thing that we get to see, which is
Jean Grey has like no powers.
Yes. What is up with? Anyway.
You would almost think her power is telepathy and not telekinetic.
Yes.
That's the problem here.
Yes.
Because in the books, if I recall, she's telekinetic to begin with, and then starts to get her telepathy as time goes on.
Yeah, the telepathy she trains with Professor Xavier. I think I don't know exactly what the official word on it is. Like if she had that power and it blossomed after the thing with the Hellfire Club, with Mastermind, and then her with the Phoenix. I don't know where exactly.
I think retconning wise, it's like there were mental blocks that were brought down.
Yes.
But I don't think those were in play.
And I think Xavier put them there.
No, Xavier did put them there. I don't know if they were in. I don't know if it was a retcon or if they were put in play before that.
All we know is that did happen.
But that did happen.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. God.
She barely does anything with her powers.
Yeah.
And she's one of the most powerful mutants on the team.
It's almost like you don't have a
Rogue,
team.
or so should Storm. Right. Storm is one of the most powerful, most like badass characters. No.
If I could control the weather, I wouldn't be blowing snow at people. Let's put it that way. Anyway.
What I'm saying.
I think the other thing we get introduced to is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which they don't call it that, but we know what they are.
Which they have gone by many names. And they have dropped the evil before.
Yes, the Brotherhood.
They were just the Brotherhood.
Freedom Force when it's run by Mystique.
Right.
You know, Mystique and Destiny were like, you know what? Maybe we don't put evil and brother in the title.
I think Freedom Force feels like a very like prescient thing to call your supervillain squad.
They were working for the government, which is why.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't think that today you could have a Freedom Force that does that?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were originally the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and it's one of those things I never found in the comics, but found in my research that it was supposed to almost be ironic at one point, where it's like, well, you think we're evil, so we're going to call ourselves evil.
Because they're run by Magneto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sort of.
I feel like that's a retcon, but like because again,
it's absolutely a retcon
because it's highlighting the change of Magneto's character.
It's also a Stan Lee thing,
right?
You would absolutely just call them the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
It is what it is. I like the lineup here. It's not
if you just looked at Magneto, Mystique, Toad, Sabretooth. I feel like you need one more.
I also don't think that's ever been the lineup.
No, I don't think it has either.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and say that's never been the lineup.
Because what was the original lineup?
The original lineup...
Like so this is like Silver Age, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Magneto, Toad,
sure.
Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Mastermind who dies. So that...
Spoiler alert. No.
Yeah.
Everyone dies.
Everybody dies. That is the original. Later in that, there's like some other people. I think the most recognizable.
Well, I was gonna say what's like the one after that, the Freedom Force, the Mystique.
No, that's not the second one. That's the third version.
That's the third version.
Yes.
Is that the one with like Toad, Pyro, Blob?
No.
Or is that the second one?
No,
oh man, which one's that one?
So the Blob,
I thought the three of them were in a team together.
No.
Oh, what was I thinking?
No, they are in that team in X-Men Evolution.
Is that what it is?
I think you might be pulling that.
Oh, you know what? Mystique's Brotherhood doesn't have Toad.
No.
Why is Toad not in the...
No.
Oh, man.
Because Mystique doesn't like him.
I mean, I get it.
It's. I think that one's the most recognizable to me.
Yeah.
Mystique, Destiny, Avalanche, Pyro, Rogue, and then some retconned person. I think it's called Blind Spot. I'm just like pulling it up, but that's like that comes in 2005. I'm not counting that.
No.
The original 80s one is Avalanche, Pyro, Rogue, Destiny, and Mystique.
Which is is the animated series definitely has Avalanche and Pyro hanging out with Mystique.
Yes, in Evolution.
Oh no, in the original they were working for it's in the Archangel.
Oh,
one.
In that arc.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the three of them were working together.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because they kidnap Mystique and then don't realize it's Mystique because she looks like the doctor that she's impersonating.
Right. Yeah. And that makes sense.
Oh, Pyro.
Because it's 81. And then the show came out in 92. So that would be probably the most recent. There might be like a different version.
I mean, that's a good one that would be in people's minds for sure.
Yeah. There's an X-Force version that does have Blob, Pyro, Toad, and a couple other people like Sauron and Thorn and Fantasia and Mask. So like that might be one.
Maybe.
If you followed any of the cable X-Force, which I did a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I was a little... And that's what's funny with making a movie.
Yeah.
Is you're like, all right, well, we're going to do Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. No doubt. We're going to have Magneto lead it. No problem. Who do you want to fill it with? You honestly can't go too wrong.
No, because it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Because the membership kind of gets a little, it fluctuates.
It does. Even in the stories itself, and even for the X-Men too, which we'll get to shortly, the members are, you can say, okay, these are the core team members, but people come in and out, and sometimes it depends on the issue. And if we talked about this last time, but in Giant Size #1, with Sunfire, he joins and leaves within 2 pages. Like, so it kind of depends on the page that you're on too. You know,
way to go.
So, but I do think Toad is super important.
Yeah,
you have to have Toad in Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I personally,
for sure. I feel like it's tough though, because like I want Mystique in it, but Mystique needs to be more of a figure. Oh, another woman that got done dirty. Mystique.
Yeah, the fact that she's not in the lair. Why is she not there?
We haven't even talked. We both were realizing she doesn't show up till minute 30. What
a waste.
What
a waste.
Well, we'll talk about her at minute 30 then,
I guess. Can't wait to talk about Raven Darkholm. Listen.
Buckle up.
I love her.
But you can kind of mix and match. I feel like 5 is a better number though. I don't know why. I think because the original X-Men were 5, so the Brotherhood's 5.
Yes.
So if you could add a 5th person to that movie lineup, who would you have added?
Oh, I think I would have added. I don't like the Blob. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I don't like the Blob.
Well, I think you only use the Blob depending on who you have on the X-Men team. Like if you have a Colossus, Blob could be fun.
I think that might be part of it.
But if they don't have Colossus on the X-Men team, you don't want to put Blob in there. Wolverine could be fun with the Blob too.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah.
He's a heavy hitter. You want a heavy hitter on the other side.
I would have liked a Scarlet Witch or a Quicksilver.
Yeah.
I would have liked one of Magneto's kids.
I feel like Quicksilver would have been good.
Yeah.
Because it's clean. It's a clean power.
It is. It's a speedster.
He's a speedster. Done.
Yeah. But then it ruins the rest of it.
You could have honestly even maybe made it Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, not had Mystique.
Yeah, save Mystique for later.
And have Scarlet Witch kind of take over some of the things Mystique does.
I think so too. Scarlet Witch is powerful enough to be able to roll with that kind of
She
energy.
might be too much for a...
This is the problem. I think this is what cripples this movie, is that they were so afraid of making them too fantastical.
Right.
And I'm like, you're making an X-Men movie.
True. But like we were saying last episode, you have to introduce their power set. And Scarlet Witch has like a weird power set. She can't, depending on what era of Scarlet Witch you're using.
That's very true.
She can just be like shooting hex bolts or rewriting reality.
Fair enough. Anyway, I think you're right. I think Quicksilver would have been okay, but I would have I actually think Mystique coming in later and having her be a little bit more of her own her own destiny.
Yes,
would have been really nice.
Or even have Destiny. What? Oh man, get the two of them going.
That would have been really interesting. Destiny would have been a really good counter for Professor X.
Because then Destiny doesn't have to go into battle.
Yeah.
She can just be somebody that's hanging out at the lair. Because that lair is barren.
Yes, there's nobody there.
It looks great. There needs to be more people there.
Yeah. Anyway. Devastating.
It's just Toad and Magneto in silence. Just...
Yeah, I just don't believe that Magneto would ever want to be in a situation where it's him and Toad in a lair, right? Like there has to be somebody else there.
That's why he's in his office.
Right.
I'm going to go do paperwork.
Literally anything else.
Well, those taxes aren't going to do themselves.
Oh, poor Toad. No one likes him.
I guess I'll go paint this.
Yeah. What is he even painting?
Oh, you don't know what that is?
I don't remember.
It's the base of the torch of the Statue of Liberty. They're starting to build, so he's painting it green.
I see. I see. That makes sense. Okay. Well, since we were talking about lineups, and we didn't really get to talk about this in the first 20 minutes.
Well, because we didn't get a lineup.
We did not, but now we do.
Now we do.
We know we get an X-Men lineup.
Yeah, we do.
So who do we see here? We see Cyclops.
Well, first, we get Cyclops and Storm right off the bat. They were the field men.
The field agents.
Then we get Jean Grey.
Yep.
Which we only were introduced slightly to before. That is it.
Yeah. You get Professor X, I guess. If you
What? Once again, that's two. You need one more. I know you get Rogue, quote unquote, but she's the damsel in distress for this entire movie.
Yeah.
You need one more X-Man.
It's so little.
It's so little. You need at least 5.
I don't understand why Beast isn't here.
Why is Beast not here?
Beast should be here.
Why does it take 3 movies for Beast to be here?
I have no answers for you.
I mean,
because even if you don't want to do a power, Beast does not have crazy powers, so you don't have to worry about CGI.
Makeup heavy.
He is makeup heavy.
That's the problem.
Or Beast was not originally furry.
True.
You can make a conversion.
But you got animated series to deal with, and if people see a blue Beast in animated series, they're going to expect a blue Beast in the movie.
Well, I expected a lot of things that I didn't get, so.
I think you could have aged up at Iceman. You could have had him just in the crew, but he's the love interest. What if they did a Teenage Gambit?
No, my God. No, you can't.
You're like,
can't
I don't like that.
Put Gambit in these movies.
No, I know you can't.
Because if
he's
you
not a good student.
Well, not only is he not a good student, but Rogue and Gambit are so particular and such a beloved couple that if you put Gambit in a movie and she's making eyes at Iceman, people will riot in the streets, and justly
they
so.
Will riot.
I would have been there too.
Right.
Like this is, I think, exactly the era where I was reading the Rogue and Gambit stories.
Yeah.
And I was so mad that there was not a Gambit in this movie.
I think the answer is Colossus.
You're right. It is Colossus.
It is Colossus. Cyclops, Colossus, Storm, Jean Grey, at the very least, and then you add Wolverine into the team.
Right.
There's your 5. Apparently, when they're doing the tour, there's a shot of the kid running across the water.
Yes, I did see that.
Right as that shot starts, there's a kid off to the side drawing. That's quote unquote supposed to be Colossus.
Piotr.
Because he's an artist.
He's an artist. Interesting. I didn't see that. Okay.
Sure. Speaking of almost people in this movie, the class Wolverine walks into, you've got Kitty, who is called by name.
Kitty Pryde.
And then runs through a wall. Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Guaranteed.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You've got, in the later scene, Pyro, who is called John.
Yes.
Who is then recast in the next movie.
Yes, but that is Pyro.
I mean, he lights a thing on, he lights nothing on fire.
Yeah.
And he controls it.
Yeah.
Absolutely Pyro. Then you've got Jubilee.
Yes.
Who is a background character in this movie who got cut out of scenes. There are multiple scenes where she had lines and someone calls her Jubilee, or she introduces herself as Jubilee. I think is what ends up happening. And they cut it all. Like, Rogue had scenes in dormitories talking to other girls her age. They cut them all.
Why have her talking to other women? We could have her talking to boys the whole time, James.
What? I was watching these like extended deleted scenes of this whole section, and I was like, those are better paced.
Yeah.
You get a minute to breathe. You get to see, like, I was like, oh, I didn't realize how much I wanted to see the school.
Yeah.
And then it made me want a Mutant High movie.
Yeah. It's almost like that's what they should have given us.
Bryan Singer didn't want that.
He did not want that. He wanted a sci-fi movie.
X-Men lineups in general.
Yes.
You've got your original squad.
Yeah.
The OG.
Do you know who the original squad officially is?
I'm going to answer, and I assume I'm right, and I know I'm wrong by that tone of voice. So we're gonna do it. From issue number 1, you've got Iceman, Beast that's not blue, Angel, not Archangel, Marvel Girl, aka Jean Grey, and Cyclops.
That is partially correct.
Okay.
So that is true. That is true.
I mean, that's issue number 1.
In issue number 1. The very first issue of X-Men, that is true.
What kind of retcon nonsense are you going to throw at me that I'm going to love?
Okay, couple things.
Was Forget Me Not there? Please tell me Forget Me Not was there.
No, Changeling, though.
Changeling was there.
So Changeling, also known in alternate universes, and how most people probably know him, is Morph.
Right, from the animated
from the
series.
Exiles. He's Changeling, I think, in the... No, is he Morph in the animated series? He's Morph in the animated series. He's there, but it's not... Like, it's kind of a retcon later. This is like how Professor Xavier dies and comes back to life. It's actually him. He dies as Xavier because Xavier leaves, and he makes a deal. So, like, he's a secret X-Men that only Xavier knows about.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay.
And then,
by the way, this is probably not the first time we're going to bring up some shady Professor X nonsense.
It really is not.
He feels like Patrick Stewart. He is an upstanding leader, gentleman, and then you go to the comics and you're like, oh, that's a different character.
It's a different character. There's also technically another secret X-Men that only Xavier knows about, and that is Sage.
Sage was there that back then?
Sage is known, I think, as Tessa.
Yeah.
And is at the bar and is kind of like, she's a double agent for the Hellfire Club for Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, that's not as bad as I was.
Yeah.
That's not like I was secretly Professor X.
Yeah.
By the way, forget me not, real X-Men character.
Yeah.
That no one remembers exists.
Because
that is his
that's
mutant power.
The power. Yeah. So no, nothing that much, but Morph and Changeling is pretty close. And I think technically before, if depending on how you want to stretch the original X-Men.
Yeah.
In Giant Size number
one.
I
think pre-Giant Size number 1.
Havoc and Polaris are there too.
Okay.
Because that's who they're rescuing.
That's who so in Giant Size number 1, they are going to Krakoa.
Yes.
OG Krakoa.
The same Krakoa, technically.
Right, but
or
like,
actually, is it a sun? I think the new Krakoa might be the sun. I can't remember. I won't say that definitively.
I could see the sun being the grounds in the Jean Grey school, but I don't know.
I'll have to do that later.
We'll do some Krakoa watch later.
Yeah.
But they go to Krakoa to rescue Havoc and Polaris.
Havoc, Polaris, Jean Grey.
Beast. So they were all there.
They're all there.
Okay.
The only person who escapes,
he escapes,
is Cyclops, but he doesn't actually escape. Krakoa let him go, so he would bring other
more mutants because Krakoa eats off of mutant
energy, which is still a thing.
Oh, absolutely. In the House of X, Powers of X, they have a deal with Krakoa that he's allowed to feed off everyone a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just get a little taste. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And Giant Size X-Men number 1, like we talked about last episode, is got the other characters that you're familiar with: Nightcrawler, Storm, etc.
Yeah.
So Colossus. But yeah, it's a weird one. The Changeling, I think, is the only one that I think that I would really be like, that counts.
Yeah.
Because it's still in series 1.
Yes.
Not series 2.
I'll take that.
So I think that counts.
So we get a full tour of the X-Mansion grounds.
Kind of. We don't see the Danger Room.
Maybe the Danger Room doesn't exist. We don't see it. Why wouldn't they show him the Danger Room? Honestly, though, in this type of movie, I can see it being a decision of, well, if we show it, we have to use it.
Right. Yeah. You can't just show the Danger Room and not be using the Danger Room.
Which, for the most part, it's just a training facility.
Yeah, it's just
But then you're using child soldiers.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's just Cyclops shooting skeet.
Yeah.
Outside.
That should have been in the Danger Room, though.
That should have been in the Danger Room.
If it was just in a white room, I would have known what it was.
But that's just one shot.
That's true. They do try to separate
there's the
kids
other,
here.
There's the other Jean Grey power. She can throw around some skeet.
That's right. I forgot she does that.
Why? Oh, why?
Cyclops' power is not that great either.
No,
they're all
that's
kind of depowered.
But the thing is, Cyclops, what makes Cyclops great in my mind is not just his power, it's his personality, it's what he does.
Yeah. And I do think that this Cyclops already, in these scenes, you can tell is very similar to the animated series Cyclops.
Right.
He's kind
Which
of
is
like...
also not quite the comic book Cyclops.
Not really. Yeah.
He's a wet blanket.
Yeah. He's really wet blankety.
I think it's hard to show a field leader done well.
I think so too. Because
Professor X is the leader. He's the one calling the shots, and then Cyclops is the one calling the shots in the field.
Yeah.
But they're not really a team, you know?
And Cyclops is not the main character. Wolverine is.
Wolverine is.
So Cyclops has to be wrong, and Wolverine has to be right.
Right.
And so that makes him
a
worse.
bad leader.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
It's brutal.
But, yeah, I mean, you're right. They do separate the students and the X-Men.
More definitively than I think they do most of the times in the comics. Not always, but like most of the time.
Because I feel like they'll pull a student if they need them for a mission.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This environment, I don't think they would.
They tried, I mean, it's really interesting because Kitty Pryde is an example of they will. And then Jubilee kind of
gets caught up in things.
Yeah, it's kind of an example of where she isn't. They don't want to pull her.
No.
And I think, and there is a big fight, I think, with Kitty Pryde too, who wants, when she gets put on the New Mutants.
Yeah.
Which is a great team that I love. She does not stay on. She goes kicking and screaming and complaining about being put on the kid team.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big thing.
Well, and the original New Mutants were supposed to be students. They weren't supposed to be warriors, but but the original X-Men are fighters.
Right.
They were always fighters.
Yeah. So it's like a really complicated thing that like this movie works really hard at splitting like hairs there of like the kids are not participating. They actually mention in this that the kids call the teachers X-Men. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Because that's
affectionately they're referred to as X-Men or something to that effect.
Yeah. Not that they are X-Men as superheroes and the kids know that.
They don't graduate to become X-Men. That's not the goal.
Yeah, they graduate to become teachers and they can be called X-Men, or they can go back into the field. They don't realize that the teachers are also superheroes, which is interesting.
I think more realistic of like the students are not being trained to fight. The students are here for an education and also to control their powers.
Yeah.
It's like they all have rage issues and we need to deal with that before you're allowed to be out in the real world.
Yeah.
But then you gave them a gun. No, they are the gun.
They are the gun.
They are the gun. I do like that there's the 2 levels.
Yeah, I think that's
that
cool.
second level like you said, one of those doors should have been a danger room.
Yeah, that is what it is.
And maybe it is. I guess it kind of is. I don't know if we see in the third movie when they show the scenes if that's where it is, but I do like the old on top of the new.
Yeah.
Like this building, like the X Mansion has been there forever, and we built this underneath it.
Stuff underneath.
Though in the comics, it's been destroyed and rebuilt multiple times. I was trying to like go through and be like, oh, what's the history of the X Mansion? Just like, what's a good overview? And it was like destroyed by this, reconstructed by that, mostly destroyed. Like one was mostly destroyed. It wasn't completely destroyed. And then it's like, I'll have to find a tally. Right. And I will bring it the first time it gets destroyed in these movies.
Yeah. I also am curious if we should count the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning or the Mutant Outreach School, which is technically different.
Yes. Well, because if they're all the same building, or at least where the building was.
They're not all where the building was, though.
Was the building moved?
I don't know. When Kitty Pryde opens it in New York, it's different. I don't know if it's moved.
Because if I might be wrong, but in my ancillary research, it was like moved to Limbo and then moved to New York.
Yeah.
Does that track?
That tracks.
Okay.
I do vaguely remember that.
I mean, it's probably the same.
That's true. Oh, that's so funny.
And then lastly, very minorly, the X-Jet shows up. The Blackbird.
Blackbird.
Oh, I love the Blackbird.
I've never called it the X-Jet.
I haven't either, but in the it is also known as the X-Jet.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's more of a recent thing, because a Blackbird's an actual plane.
Yeah, they probably wanted to take it out.
They probably did, because that's very like, it's a warplane. The SR-71 Blackbird is a real plane they based this off of, and they never took it back. We were like, nah, it's ours now. And we are the Blackbird. And then I think more like if they made an MCU X-Men, they'll call it the X-Jet.
Yeah, and that would
They also
suck.
call it the X-Mansion, but then half the time it's, Xavier's School for Higher Learning, Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Yeah. Xavier Institute for Mutant Outreach and whatever.
I do like that it's in Westchester.
Yes.
And not in New York City. Like everything's in New York City.
It needs to be in Westchester. That's where it is. That is actually accurate. I'm glad that they kept it where it was supposed to be.
The address is absolutely 100% correct in the movie, and it used to be on Google Maps.
Really?
Yes.
And that's actually great. I wish they had left
At one point, they took it off. People were leaving reviews of like how their school years were at the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters.
Thanks, Google, for ruining fun. We can always count on you.
You're right. But the Blackbird wasn't their first mode of transportation.
What was it?
Xavier's private jet.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We didn't really talk about this, but Xavier has a lot of money.
He got money.
And I think there is... I was thinking about this when we were watching it.
Because this building has been in the family for a long time.
It is. He comes from money. But also when he was talking about how rich he was, he's standing next to the jet in the movie. I'm like, and he's talking about how he found out he can control people's minds. And I was like, are you implying as he's standing next to the giant jet? And I'm like, is the implication here that he like uses powers to get rich like in the movies?
Maybe.
It's very possible.
That's how you stay rich.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, no, it was a private jet. I think that one got destroyed or left behind or something. Shield got him a Strato jet.
Okay.
Something to that effect.
Surprised
I don't
Shield
know.
bothered.
And then it's just been variations on the Blackbird.
The Blackbird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuck. What a great.
That's the one. That's the iconic ship.
I still can't believe there's only 3 X-Men in this movie. I'm so mad about it.
Well, the team had 3 X-Men when they walked in.
Yeah. I'm like, what is
I
going on?
didn't even realize it too. Like, what's the team? And oh no.
Yeah.
Isn't there more? There's not more.
Brutal.
And we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back for the next 10.
Yeah. I'm your host, Tasha.
And I'm producer James.
See you next time.